So let's see how this will sound and if I will have your full attention. But first, I would like to remind you to support our work with your likes, comments, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more likes and subscribe, the more good quality videos only for you. Also, feel free to message and contact us with your ideas so we can create it for you. Thanking you in advance, your Wonder Bear. Cheers! Many of you will think that we are wrong about this description, but we will not be trying to change your opinion, but also we will not be exposed to more of the modern science enigmas and, should we say, lies and cover-ups. And if we add the great conspiracy of landing on the moon, this will just give us a bigger picture of why many of us do not trust the mainstream media, giant companies like NASA and more. We all need to understand that this world is not what it seems to be. There is no wonder why modern science wants to travel to space and to build colonies on different planets. But there is a problem with that. Not many people can see it, or they are too ignorant to see it, because if they see the real picture of what kind of planet we live on, they will lose all credibility, profits, and privileges, because this modern system is created to nourish and assist the elite, and not the ordinary people. I will not be talking about the politics in this episode, so don't worry, but everything is connected with the same or similar topics, as the main players are involved with our daily lifestyle, and we can like it or not, but currently we cannot change something on a big scale, but we are getting there, slowly, but surely. So, let's go back to the topic, flat Earth. Is that theory new, or does this exist for a long time? To be honest, I have found lots of evidence that the theory of flat Earth is very old, since ancient times, and it goes together with the theory of the round Earth that is even popular in today's modern time, thanks to modern science and companies like NASA. But could modern science be wrong about it? I believe it can be very wrong about most things, especially if we mention the most recent discovery of an 11,400-year-old village. That kind of discovery challenges ideas of when and why humans first settled down. The excavations at the monumental site Karahan Tepe, near the Turkish-Syrian border, suggest that society was established much earlier than what science was telling and teaching us. Karahan Tepe is located around 35 kilometers from the UNESCO World Heritage Site Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest temple structure, dating to 9600 BC. The place Göbekli Tepe reshaped ideas about early civilization. So, as we could hear, even modern science can be wrong about important parts of our origins. This episode is not against science, far from it. We are talking about the missing links and how much science needs to be improved and to allow the parts to be studied, like cryptozoology, for example. And for some who never heard of that word, the cryptozoology studies and searches for animals and other creatures whose existence is unrecognized or disputed by science. Unrecognized and disputed by science. Imagine that, and who is organizing these kinds of rules where something can be collected as the right or a wrong answer? Considering that this is a very interesting and difficult question, it's totally possible to know the number of species found and described daily. For example, in the year 2016, modern science described around 18,000 new plants and animal species. This is approximately equivalent to 49.3 species per day. Yes, you heard me right. Daily, the same modern science is finding new plants and animals. While some of them are getting extinct because of either human or natural causes, the new species are getting found around the world. This is just another example of how the same modern science needs to be more flexible and more open to other opinions, including cryptozoology. As you can hear, together we are opening Pandora's box with valid questions and examples of why modern science needs to change, and with that change, a new approach will need to be in place. Believe it or not, but the flat Earth theory is one of the oldest theories in written history, and it has a belief that the world around us is shaped like a disc. The flat Earth model has been present in every civilization since then. From Europe, Scandinavia, Germanic tribes, and all the way to China. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 to 2, we can read a very interesting thing. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. Here we mention two very important facts. Two words that stayed in the ears of many: formless and void. Formless means without a clear or definite shape or structure, void means completely empty. Was that a word that created a conspiracy theory that our planet is actually flat? What is your opinion? I think that almost everyone has heard Galileo Galilei's theory that Earth is orbiting around the Sun and Moon, but what if this is the other way around, as per flat Earth theory? Also, if the Earth is round, why do we always see the same stars on the same spot? There are more questions than answers. Everyone must admit that. That is why I have decided to talk about this topic. What about the firmament? What is firmament? The right definition of the firmament is that firmament represents the heavens above or sky, and in the Bible, the firmament is the vast solid dome created by the Almighty Lord during his creation of the world to divide the primal sea into upper and lower portions so that the dry land could appear. Let's hear what the Bible says about the encounter before Noah's flood. In Genesis chapter 7, verse 11, in the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. Did you hear it? The floodgates of the heavens, aka firmament, were opened. Many people will say that all water from the firmament went down on this earth, but if we read the Bible, we will see that Almighty Lord opened the water on earth below the earth's surface. In the same Bible, Genesis, 1 Moses book, chapter 7, verse 11, it is written that on the day the flood began, there was a breaking up of the fountains, which implies a release of the water, possibly through a large opening in the ground or in the seafloor. The waters that had been held back burst forth with catastrophic consequences, as we could find all over the planet. That is nothing new, as even today we could find lots of water beneath the earth's surface. While the firmament or sky were open with water to unite with the water that was pouring from below the earth's surface, in one point firmament was closed, and the rest of water was kept there until today, so there is a possibility that firmament is still above the earth in a God-made dome. But obviously, this idea is not suitable for today's modern science, as today we have satellites and rockets that record and measure our Earth, space, and other planets. But is that actually true or false? What if I say to you that there is a wide belief that no one had a chance to leave this planet in the rockets or satellites? Yes, it is true that today we have rockets and satellites, but that does not mean that they are deep in space. If we take the consideration that Earth is kept in a very interesting shape, and because of the great sin from our ancient parents Adam and Eve, no one can leave this earth, even that modern science is trying to reach out to the dome with the wish to break it, but without success. Just check the countdowns of all these rockets, and when they start flying vertical, and later they shift either sharp left or right, and as per flat earth theory all rockets are ending into the seas and oceans, as that is the best way to hide to cover-ups that none rocket actually left this planet. And considering as per the theory that sun and moon are within the Earth atmosphere, there was no landing on the moon, which is also very possible, considering that was happening during the Cold War game between the West and East, Soviet Union, and also considering that there were no other missions to moon until today, it gives us a real picture that this theory is actually true, and not some kind of conspiracy theory. Apparently, as per NASA's explanation, there were no new missions to the moon as there was a lack of money, and there were political issues for other missions. That was a very interesting statement from NASA, whose budget for the year 2022 was $24 billion. And just to add that NASA is a federal agency, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration receives its funding from the annual federal budget passed by the United States Congress, so there are lots of sources for funding, and NASA is a top priority for the USA, in front of any other government agency, especially if we mention that NASA's budget was more than FBI and the CIA combined. What about the modern science theory that the sun is away from our planet at an unbelievably 147.61 million kilometers, and that apparently the sun's age is also an unbelievably 4.603 billion years? Do you really believe in these calculations? If the sun is so far from us and our lovely planet Earth, how is it possible to see the plane shadow while flying just under the location where the sun is? Have you ever seen the plane shadow? The plane shadow is so clear and so visible, even though it happens so fast. I was lucky to experience seeing the plane shadow twice. One was a small Cessna plane and the other plane was bigger. The plane shadow was clear, and it almost showed me the size of that plane. It was one of the most interesting and amazing discoveries. So, you can test it yourself if you are playing with the lights. As we already know, 1,000 feet is a minimum altitude for level flight, and the highest certified altitude of an airliner was Concorde 60,000 feet, and today some of the corporate jets can fly at 51,000 feet. So, if the sun is so far from Earth as per modern science calculation, how is it possible to have such a clear plane shadow, where you can almost see the length of the entire plane? Considering that planes are flying at high altitude, and if the plane is flying under the sun position, the shadow should not be visible at all in most cases. For us, this is just another piece of evidence that the sun is actually much closer to the Earth than previously thought, and there is a big chance that modern science is hiding the real truth for its own agenda. It looks like modern science knows more about the universe than what is happening here on Earth. Is that a deliberate mistake, or does modern science like to be deceiving, so people will be more focused on what is going on around us, instead of investigating and be more vigilant on what is happening here on this earth? You be the judge, and think if this is true or not. If we add to this that we know more about the universe than about our oceans, and if we add that more than 80% of our ocean is unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored, isn't that one of the biggest evidence that something is wrong about today's modern science? Why would we send rockets and satellites to search for life in space and to discover new planets when we did not explore and investigate our planet? Is that a part of the conspiracy theory or something else? As we stated, you be the judge. What about the rainbow, the amazing sign created by the Almighty Lord after Noah's flood as a reminder and as a sign of the covenant between the Almighty Lord and the earth that there will be no more flood, written in Genesis, chapter 9, verses 13 to 16? Rainbow perfectly is showing the reflection of the dome and its shape, check it out. Also, what about the thunder sound? During the storm, check the thunder sound and you will notice that sound is echoing as it hits the barriers of the dome and a firmament above. And if this planet is totally round, why do only rich people have a chance to travel in space? Or why all cosmonauts must sign the documents that they will not be talking about the real truth about what they have seen above? Think about that, my dear stranger. As I have mentioned before, I am not trying to brainwash you, only to share important facts that modern science does not want to touch and to explain with valid answers. It's always easier to brush it off any other theory or conspiracy theory that does not suit today's world of the elite. That is why it is important for you to seek for the truth and to be vigilant about the signs, as we all live in the last days before the judgment day. Believer or not, we all will face the judgment, regardless of your status in this modern society full of lies, greed, materialism and immorality. Be aware of it and try to change your mindset towards justice, faith and real love. It will help you, and the truth will set you free. And before we finish this interesting and controversial episode, we need to ask you if you know who Wernher von Braun is, or if you have heard about this man before? We already know that many of you will answer positively that they either know who that man was or they have heard about his name. Wernher von Braun was a scientist who was working for Nazi Germany, and during the Second World War, he invented the V-2 rocket that was used during the Second World War against Great Britain and other countries, where more than 9,000 people died. Just after the Second World War, von Braun was taken to the USA. It was Thursday, September 20, 1945, when he received American citizenship. Even though he was a Nazi, he was responsible for the death of many people thanks to his rockets. He was never judged by the law about his involvement in the Hitler's agenda and the participation in Nazi systematic killings. Instead of justice being served, so that von Braun could face prison time or even a possible death sentence for his mastermind of creating the rockets in Nazi Germany, the USA awarded him with their citizenship, an amazing work in NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and he had a title as a father of the USA space program. What a controversial story, and what a double-sided play from the USA government. Anyway, that man von Braun, just before he died, he admitted to the world that NASA and the world system were lying to society for the whole time. And you can check his confession that is engraved on his grave, where we can see his full name and the words about the Psalms, especially the Psalms chapter 19, verse 1. What is Psalms 19.1 in the King James Version? Well, this is what is written there: the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament sheweth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night sheweth knowledge. There is no speech or language, where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. Yes, you heard right, the word firmament has been mentioned, and if one big scientist like him, von Braun, can declare his belief in the Almighty Lord, imagine what we all need to do. The truth is out there, you just have to find it, so do not allow the system to consume you with their agendas and their theories. Check what is written in Luke chapter 11, verse 9. I tell you, ask, and you shall receive, seek, and you shall find, knock, and the door shall be opened to you. For everyone who asks, receives, and everyone who seeks, finds, and to everyone who knocks the door will be opened. So, act like what the Lord Jesus Christ said to all of us, and believe me that you will not regret it. Question everything, and be righteous while judging. It's important to ask the right questions, and demand the right answers. What is your opinion, dear stranger? What do you think is happening on this earth? Are you a believer in Almighty Lord? Is it all right for the corrupted system to keep the right answers and truth from the public, especially when the taxpayers' money is going for secret government projects and their black budgets where they invest in lies? Flat or round Earth, do you care about your planet's shape? Are you a flat Earth theorist or not? What is your opinion about this topic? Firmament or not? NASA lies or not? Let's share your comments. Be honest and respectful regardless if you are for or against the topic. We would love to hear from you, to read and reply to your comments. Also, feel free to share in your comments what you would like to hear on this channel, what kind of topic, and share some interesting theories with us, thanking you in advance. Stay tuned, as soon we will have more interesting topics. Stay safe, stay good, stay alive. Until next time, greetings from Wonder Bear.